All right, we are live. What is up, everybody? Went back to the original setup. So today's live, I was going to do a box, but I got asked a couple times already, even at DEF CON, to do just a basic overview of physical pen tests. For those of you that know, my background is in physical security. So I'm going to be going over just a basic overview. Now, just to remember, all engagements and all physical pen tests are different. They're all going to have a different, different thing to conquer pretty much in each engagement or test, right? Apple, Facebook, GoPro, Box are all different organizations. So the objective is going to be different for each organization and each test for that matter. And who knows, you might even have one the same, but not all physical pen tests are going to be the same. So I just made it, again, this is an overview. This isn't just going to be a pinpoint engagement or physical pen test. I'm going to utilize my old company, the last tech company that I was in at Box, just because it gives a lot of different variables, especially when you do your reconnaissance, to do your planning, your prepping, and where it's at, and the way the building campus is structured. So I'm going to go and share that PDF real quick. Let me get the window capture and straighten this out. All right. So let's go down. I still got to create the PowerPoints, but however, I like how some of the backgrounds look on Canva. So let's go over this real quick. What is a physical pen test? A simulated real-world attack on an organization's physical security controls to identify vulnerabilities an attacker could exploit to gain unauthorized access. So adversarial objectives, pretty much, right? We're going to go to the basics. Bypass barriers, locks, alarms, cameras, and access controls. Pretty much your first layer of your physical security. They got one called, I still don't even know how to pronounce it right, CPTED. Pretty much you're going to use all the physical barriers, trees, brush, hillsides, etc., gates, fence line, all the way down to your guards, to your access control systems. That's pretty much what physical security professionals go by and swear by. It is also in the CPP certification exam. That is the certified professional or certified protective professional. I forgot what it is. It's by ASIS International. They're going to swear off by that. And I think it's also its own organization still, if I remember correctly. So after that, next, once you reach that barrier, right, it's going to be exploit human trust, tailgating, impersonation, social engineering. Now, as I get back into these videos, and again, this is going to be off of my perspective. I'm not telling you guys how to do it. I'm going off of my gifted traits, my skill sets. This is how I would do it for myself. Each person is going to be different, right? Some people are going to be able to just walk in and have that magic touch where nothing, not even a word is going to be said to him. I'm going to be different where I am going to be questioned, right? Especially in the tech industry. If I don't move or talk a certain way, even though I pretty much worked my whole career in the tech industry, people right off the bat are going to question me, especially if I'm not dressed correctly. Or if, like I said, if I move a different way. So right off the bat, if I don't do those, if I don't have that certain swag or language, they're going to write off, I'm a mechanic, I'm a construction worker. That's just what it is. However, I do have that background, so I know that knowledge and I know how to talk my way out of it. So it's bad and good at the same time. So just remember that this is how I would do it. I'm not telling you guys how to do it this way. This is not the end all be all. I'm using my skill sets and my traits that I have. After that, after you exploit the human trust, you're going to harvest sensitive data, documents, credentials, hardware. Right, and just a perfect example of this, when I was at GoPro, a startup, we had our whole building F, that both floors, and even some in building E in the lab area, that were pretty much, anyone could walk in. There were glass doors. You could just pop the sensor or pop the door. They also left the bypass things in there. on the door handle. They're literally glass doors with aluminum handles. Pretty much what that means is harvest sensitive data. Hardware, R&D was all left on the desk. Pretty much SD cards from all the engineering, CADs, all the drawings, all the renderings for the cameras that were coming out, even the stuff when we were planning to partner with DJI. For those that don't know, that's when pretty much you knew it went downhill. It just took a while until the IPO broke in the stock. But all that shit was left out on everyone's desk. So when you do a red team engagement, physical red team engagement or physical pen test, looking for stuff like that, I wouldn't even take it. I would just make a copy, put it back, etc., just to show you have proof, kind of like a screenshot kind of thing, and then, you know, black out all the sensitive data. But that's pretty much what that is, especially when you go to these startups. They are careless. It is like the wild, wild west. So you'll find a lot of stuff like that when you come across or perform your own physical pen tests or physical red team engagements. Establish footholds, plant rogue devices, drop boxes, or wireless implants, all the way from a Wi-Fi pineapple, all the way down to a bash bunny, rubber ducky. And nowadays we got OMG cables, which are pretty much, you know, are not, I don't want to say not traceable, but to the naked eye, for the average person, they're not even going to know what they are, because they look, even to me, if I don't have my orange clip on it, they pretty much look, you know, just like the charging cable out the box of an iPhone or an Android. Key tactics and tradecraft methods: lockpicking, RFID, NFC cloning, bypass kits. I'm going to have some of the tools that I use. I'm not going to have obviously all of them, but lockpicking, I prefer Sparrow. Pay the extra $1 because the quality is second to none. RFID, NFC cloning. I'm a fan and I love the Flipper Zero. However, I say it's for amateurs because you will get spotted on the fly. For most people, it is on everyone's TikTok. It has been banned in countries. It has been on the news, especially with the whole car crap. I prefer the iCopy XS and some of the other cloning devices. Tailgating and insider impersonation. Oh, excuse me. This comes, you know, a lot of tech companies where the culture has been softened, and I don't mean that respectfully, but it has been softened. And I'm going to go over that for some examples later in the video. But using that to your advantage to gain tailgating advantages, or just being able to do some insider impersonation and giving some of that, I don't want to say a threat level, but, you know, where they're timid to lose their job because they have to be really, really nice, if you know what I mean. If you know how the culture changed in the tech industry, and this is what I'm going by, like I said, I'm going to utilize this. I'm going to utilize Box. A lot of people are afraid to lose their jobs. They want to pretty much, you know, have superior no matter what. The customer is always right, or the person off the street is always right, for that matter. Dumpster diving for intel. This is still relevant, especially startups and engineering. You know, like I said, a lot of stuff is left on the desk. Renderings, drawings, SD cards, even some of the material that is made. And so say if you got like an R&D lab, any kind of software where they're using 3D printing nowadays, right? And they got resin devices, render drawings, prototypes, all that stuff is still thrown in the trash. And that stuff, you know, needs to be pretty much thrown away differently. Kind of like how you buy or you get these companies to do all your hard drives. Your engineering team should have kind of the same process. But however, like I said, startup companies are like the wild, wild west, and you're going to find a lot of that stuff in there. Deploying red team hardware. Again, we talked about this. Wi-Fi, Pineapple, Bash Bunny, keyloggers, Rubber Ducky, etc. So that's pretty much kind of in line with the establishing footholds. Physical security, or physical recon and OSINT. So again, I'm utilizing my last tech company that I worked at Box, right? So what I like to do for a physical security pen test is get there at least a week early to do my recon. I like to interact, especially where Box is at, downtown Redwood City. So just for some context, I haven't been to Redwood City since I was probably like my early 20s until I worked at Box, and it completely changed. I mean, if Redwood City was San Mateo, I would have bought a house down there. The downtown area with the restaurants, the bars, one of the best bars that I've ever been to, Blacksmith, one of the best pizza spots. It was legit, right? And why I'm saying this is because when you go down there a week earlier, a lot of people at Box go out there for breakfast, for coffees. Pete's, Phil's is out there, Starbucks, lunches, vendors go take them out, happy hours, dinners. That is where you do your recon and OSINT and pick up on, not pick up on the women, but, interact with the employees to pick up on some of the stuff that might be great intel for you for your actual physical pen test or red team engagement. I mean, it is a nice little area, city, especially where Box is at. As you can see, the railroads, I took the Caltrain up from San Jose, right across. So right where this road curves up here, if you can see the mouse, there's a walkway to go into that shopping center. There's coffee shops, Barnes & Nobles, a big Safeway. So if you need to get away quick, you just follow this, you've got a pathway. So you could look at your areas if you need to leave, if you need to get out. In the back of the building right here, you can kind of see it. That is a walkway. There are no cameras. Before I get off a tangent, pretty much what you want to do is identify entrances, exits, emergency doors, map security cameras, motion sensors, detections, alarms, observe access badge readers and keypads. This is key, especially if you have clone ones or decoy ones. And I'll go over that with the tool portion of it later. Monitor lighting, blind spots and maintenance areas, contractors, cleaning crews, delivery personnel, badge and uniform style replication opportunities, vendor trucks and service calls, and potential cover. So pretty much what I like to do here, especially at Box, this construction is already done when I worked here. This is when the building was getting built out, which was 2.5 years before I started. So right here, there's a walkway. I would just sit down, pop my drone up, and pretty much surveil the whole campus behind and front, get close-ups if I can, not too close. Sometimes people are real sensitive with drones, but that's pretty much what I would do. I would map it out. I use DJI, either one of the Air or the Mavic. Don't get too big because then you're gonna, people are gonna have their flags up. With some of the bigger drones, I would go with those two models. And also you could easily attach a Wi-Fi Pineapple, especially the Nano version on there. But that's pretty much what I would do. Scope out the security guards. And I'm going to say this, especially in the Bay Area, the tech industries, 99.9, they're either going to use Allied Universal, which has soaked in G4S, and also Garda. Garda is... Allied Universal and Guard are going to be your two main sources of guards. They might have a smaller up-and-coming vendor, but usually it's going to be one of those two. Now, for the tech industry, they are static. Rarely are they dynamic, but what I mean by that is the patrols are going to be in sync. They're going to be timed. They're going to be on schedule. Their routes will not change unless there's an emergency or there's going to be some kind of construction or event. Then that's going to, impact their route. However, pretty much they are going to be the same, so you can get an idea of when they're going to be there, when they're not. Now, the reason why I picked Box 2 is just because a lot of companies since COVID have condensed. There's going to be a lot of subtenants, right? So this half of the box. This is crew, actually a nice spot to party at, wine and lunch is one of my spots here. Coffee spot and a lobster spot here. I think we had 2 or 3 subtenants as well, plus the actual landlord was housed in there. But the kicker is with Box is that the parking is open to the public and there is no cameras in there at all. So that gives you easily point of access, and you can actually go into the parking lot, inspect or recon both sides of the buildings where you have your entrances into the buildings from the parking garage. So you can see where doors are propped open. If any doors have gaps, are there, is this a heavily leveled floor where employees are coming out? you know, so you could see all that stuff, especially from both sides. So there's two buildings, garage entrance is in the middle. The buildings pretty much are in front, and in the back side, in the center, is pretty much going to be the garage space area. So that's what I mean by trying to get there a week early. You could do your whole reconnaissance on that if that is available. And then also, you know, again, we talked about security guard patrols. That's going to be big. You could also kind of see what kind of technology they use. So if you go to Allied Universal, they also have their tech portion. Going to be probably Linnell, Software House, AMAG, Genetech for access control, Genetech, Milestone, Avigilon for video management systems. Cameras are going to be Access, Avigilon, some of the other ones, but mainly going to be Access and Avigilon cameras. So pretty much you could do your reconnaissance on those, route pass out the box, test those if you could get online. And believe it or not, a lot of companies still do that. See their visitor management system. Is it also integrated into their access control with Linnell? So pretty much, you know, tech industry is, like I said, real nice. The culture has changed. So you could actually get inside without being questioned or at gunpoint like some of the other companies, like if it was a PG&E or Edison or some of these, you know, power companies, power and gas companies. It's going to be completely different. So you pretty much got a lot of more free reign to get into the actual building, to get a good look. And better yet, you know, for more OSINT and pretexting, I mean, they'll even give you the inside layout right here. If you watch this YouTube video, they're pretty much going to go inside the building and utilize all that stuff for you. So you could build out your own floor plan, see where there's actual cameras. Now, again, this is older. They have a security desk. This wall's cut out. They have a little coffee area in here. But you could pretty much get a lay of the land. And especially walking by, as you can see, it's real window heavy. You could get a good look and glance. And then obviously, like I said, you could go inside and get a good layout, good lay of the land that way. So initial access, reaching the facility, front doors. A lot of the tech industry uses glass doors. I hate them. They're a problem and they fucking suck. Pardon my French. Now they're always gonna have a gap. So, and then usually on top, there's gonna be a Rex. They don't have a request to exit unless there's some issue with the power or the wiring, or it's gonna be an inside door where it's, because the way California is structured, it could be a fire hazard. So it's just gonna have a standard Rex on top of the door. Pretty much what you're either going to do with that gap, you're either going to just pop in a hanger, an aluminum hanger, or one of those aluminum sticks, those real 3/16. Just pop it through. You get them at Home Depot or Lowe's and trigger that Rex, or you could do it old school. It's on YouTube. Many people do it. You just buy the can of air, put it upside down. It's going to hit the smoke, and it's going to trigger the Rex sensor. Another thing too is look at multi-tenant campuses, right? So you could just do a Google search and it's going to have it. Some of them have changed since I did that box. This was a current one. Looks like they have a law firm. Liftoff is no longer there. At least I didn't see. And some of the other companies that were there that were coming in COVID right before I left. So it looks like it's just one law firm. But you could actually look at those, get some kind of intel, work with those companies as far as not the companies per se that are subtenants, but get a quick one-day job. They're going to pay you cash as a facility, not a facility, but janitorial. A lot of janitorial companies still to this day, I know a lot of people that own them, a handful of people that own them that are friends that still pay people cash right now under the table with their Chase personal checks. So you could get a job like that. They're going to be on, I mean, you can find them on Craigslist, probably still in the Bay Area, but do it for a day or two. That gets you access inside, right? You're going to get a badge. And that's another way. Again, utilizing, again, the soft culture of the Bay Area or some of certain states that I ran, and use that for your physical pen test or red team engagement. They will pay you cash for that. And also another one is moving companies, Coravan. My friend owns one. They pay you cash as well. They'll go to these tech companies, just go in there, just find them on Google, go up to them, talk to them. A lot of them are Mexican. Most of them don't even speak Spanish. They get paid under the table. That is another foothold in where you don't even have to do all this stuff. I mean, it's pretty much given to you on a platter. So that is another route. Believe it or not, that is true. And we hire those in the tech industry. Coravan's probably the biggest one in the Bay Area and probably throughout California. So, GoPro used Coravan, Tessera used Coravan, Apple used Coravan big time. So, I mean, they pretty much do all Apple throughout California and I believe Arizona, if I remember correctly. Again, utilize subtenants around coffee shops, lunch, happy hours, etc. They are going to, again, talk to people. Now, why I say this, and again, this is why I pick box, whether it's multi-tenant, plus they have a parking garage where it's not just used for all the tenants, but also it's open for the public. Usually the main tenant, which in this case is box, all the subtenants are probably going to be linked to their access control system, right? As far as not their internal floor plan, but to get into the parking garage at like after hours when it closes, because it's not open 24/7 for the public. I believe it closed at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, midnight or 1 a.m. However, if they need to get in or when it's closed for certain hours or an event, their badges are tied to their Linnell system. So that's, utilizing if they're HID CIOS, I don't know if they still are, but they are clonable now. So that will give you badge access into the actual garage after hours. So utilizing stuff like that, to your advantage, that is key. And again, that's where the networking portion of it, the happy hours, going out to these dinners, just shooting the shit with people. And, sometimes they'll leave their badge on at the bar or the coffee table or the restaurant, and you're shooting the shit with them. They go to the bathroom, boom, copy, you're good. Vendor impersonation. Impersonate a vendor to gain access not only to the building, but confidential areas and rooms. Utilize the soft culture to your advantage. Again, I'm speaking for the tech industry. The culture has changed. It is very soft. Put it to you like this. For a security guard, I don't know why anyone would want to be a security guard, and you hear it on LinkedIn, especially when they do these talks on these virtual conferences, which I've been a part of. They always don't understand why there's a high turnover rate as a security guard in the Bay Area and certain RAN cities or states. You're going to get fired for doing your job. You're going to get fired for not doing your job. So if you could put the puzzle together, you'll understand where I'm coming from. It's also the same way for law enforcement. And I looked at it, being in physical security, why the hell do I want to do this? If law enforcement can't do their job, I sure hell can't do it. So I'm going to get fired if I have to put my hands on somebody. So that's pretty much what I mean by that, where the culture has really, really changed. And people are going to pretty much will give you the keys to the castle in fear of losing their job. Take advantage of that, not in the wrong way, ethically, of course. And, hopefully people will change back to, not being a-holes, but just letting people do their job. And that also provides checks and balances at the end of the day. Exploiting courtesy, unauthorized entry and tactics. Now, again, this is what I'm talking to you about, the culture. And again, I'm going off of the tech industry. Know the culture, right? You're going to see it. It's all unicorn, rainbows, and lollipops in the tech industry. Unfortunately, it's not. And that's going to go to threat actor advantages. And they're going to take full advantage. They all want their political stances. They all want their ERGs, their DEI crap. A threat actor or someone that has an issue with an executive, they only have one objective, and they're going to do that objective. They don't care about any of that crap. So that's what I mean by know the culture. By them having all that stuff, that's going to define their most of their weak points, believe it or not. Utilize the female element as a tool. Most receptionists, lobby personnel, some of the office managers in some of the smaller companies, they are females. So use that to your advantage, especially if you are a male. It's just the way it is. And again, that's what a threat actor would do. I put one of my favorite shows on here, Neil Caffrey. It pretty much plays it to the T, and it works. Just don't act like a weirdo. Use the soft culture, again, to your advantage. I'm harping on this because being in there, you see it day in, day out. You hear it from your counterparts at other tech companies. It is an issue. So Again, people are going to be in fear of losing their job, rocking the boat. Like I said, most people will be so scared they'll walk you right into the MPO room, server room, and MDF, whatever room, and give it to you. That is really, really an issue in the tech industry. So some of the tools I use, again, these are just some of them, not all of them. Wi-Fi Pineapple, the Nano, put that on my backpack, even at the airport when I travel. Some people question it, some people don't. This is an HID, this is what I was talking about, HID RP40 reader decoy. Now what this is there's a company that, when I started at Box, it's called Reader Covers. You could pretty much go to Reader Covers, it fits all the HID models, even the new ones. You could slap on a reader cover, say out of service, have 3M tape and slap this right next to it. It has a battery pack inside. I believe it's a 9-volt. So pretty much, with that reader cover that says out of service, you slap the 3M tape on this one, put it there. It's going to light up. You just got to, like I said, reconnaissance, right? You're going to see what colors when it's locked, what color when it flashes, when they use their badge. That's how you're going to program that. So when they walk up, they're going to see out of service. Oh, when you swipe my badge, you got the credentials. iCopy XS also is great. It's pretty much, I believe, how I read it correctly, a Proxmark. However, this tool utilizes, and you can actually clone HID CIOS and some of their newer badges as well. And then this is my older one. As for those that follow me on Facebook and Instagram, I did get the newer model this year. This is the Hack RF1 Portapack. This will allow you to capture signals from pretty much any kind of wide range: Bluetooth, RFID, NFC, Wi-Fi, radio frequencies, right? So guards use radio frequencies. Pretty much, your remotes for your cars, gates, parking infrastructure, the whole nine. This thing does a lot. And you could also do some spoofing as well. So these are some of the key critical tools. And then again, these are Flipper Zero, similar. If you need to use it, don't flash it around, because a lot of people are already going to know what it is. Again, it's on TikTok. It's been banned in countries. That's why I always say it's for amateurs. A lot of kids have it. I would always prefer this one if you can use it, or this one, depending on the type of physical pen test that you are going to do. Now, again, two smaller units, 4 badges, are the Chameleon Ultra and the Chameleon Light. There is also an app for those as well that you can use on your phone. Sparrow lockpicks. I like Sparrow. Like I said, if you could spare the extra bucks, get them. They are great. They last long. The quality is great. And right here, it's kind of cut off, but it's a water tool. Not to be an a-hole, but sometimes if you need to have a, what do you call it? Have everyone go the other way, just pop the main water on, and you'll cause a flood on the street or the parking lot. That way you can finish or do what you need to do. That's pretty, and obviously if a SHTF scenario, you need water, you have that with you. I always carry that wherever I go. Social engineering kit, the best cologne, recommended from my friend from Europe that I was hanging around with at DEF CON. Also, he recommended the Ray-Bans, which I got, and then the ST DuPont for the cigar lighter. This is probably my new and go-to going forward, my social engineering kit, and it works. Yeah, nothing but great reviews since I've been back at DEF CON. So again, this is just an overview of what I would do for just, kind of like a high level breakdown of a physical pen test or physical red team engagement. Again, they're all going to be different. The objectives are going to be different. Each company's different. Each company might want a different test, whether you're an internal employee or a consultant, contractor, etc. You might do it for your facilities department. You might do it for your landlord department. And also, or not landlord, but yeah, your landlord or whoever you're leasing the property from. And I'm going to say that too real quick, some things that I didn't cover from a facility standpoint, right? Because again, my background is from facilities, real estate, workplace services, and physical security. There, especially now, for those that don't remember, I believe it was 2014, 2016, Target got breached with their HVAC. Cat, in California, I know Cat is real heavy for their generators, especially on the server rooms, right? Pretty much what they use, they have a network interface. It's similar to iDRAC where they're managed remotely. So pretty much those, and building management safety systems, life safety systems are not secured properly by the landlords, especially if you are integrated. That's where the issues happen with the tenants, subtenants, and then also, going with the landlords because they don't want to pay the extra bill or get their stuff properly secured. And that is an easy way in, from a red team standpoint. So just remember to make sure you work with them and make sure they meet your security standards on all their infrastructure, especially if they are going to be integrated. So what I mean by that, building life safety, that's going to be your elevators, your fire systems, your water systems. So if there's a fire and your doors, if fire alarm's pulled, your doors everything's going to be wide open. However, if they're not secured on their end, that's going to be easy way into your network. Now, it's not 100% guarantee that they're going to have full access. They're still going to have to do extra reconnaissance or enumeration, etc. But still, you don't ever want them to get to that point. And then also, from their end, as far as what documentation, what they're leaking out on their end, on their sites. And what I mean by that is we had an issue at Tessera where we were subleasing from down the street from one of our subsidiaries, Investis. God, I hate pronouncing that word. But anyway, they put out not only our security drawings from our security integrator, but also our electrical, our power, and some of our lab equipment. So make sure that they do not even put those out anywhere. And even sometimes with the county, I know Santa Clara had an issue with that. We were dealing with that at Apple. I don't know why they would want to make that public info. So, make sure you don't have those and those are secured. They're not going to be open to the public unless obviously it's by law and you have no choice. But, from a facility standpoint, there are a lot of stuff that people still don't talk about to this day, and there's a big gap. So, again, that's pretty much the rundown, the gist of this. That is all she wrote. So if there are any questions or you want me to go in a deeper dive into physical pen tests, red team engagements, etc. Oh, and actually one quick tip. Say if you do a regular pen test, and this is key, especially where I currently work and some other people work at as well. If you do a regular pen test and you do OSINT, right? And you're able to find, let's just say a uniform, right? And people know where I work. I work at Royal Caribbean. We had a third party do a red team pen test. And after that, it was funny because they had a red team engagement, which actually they did not talk. It was two separate companies, but what turned out to be informal actually was picked up as a critical on the red team side. So what that was is during OSINT, we were able to find on the regular pen test that we were able to purchase the companies that were working on the Royal Caribbean ship cruise lines. Now, what happened on that red team engagement, again, there was no communication. There were two separate companies, is they were able to not only buy those uniforms, but they were able to just walk on the goddamn ship like they were employees. So what you might find, and it's going to be informative on a regular pen test. However, you got to utilize both, especially whether you're internal or whatever, contractor, consultant, that on a red team engagement, that this could be a critical or high. And make sure, I would just notify it just that way, because if you're working with physical security facilities, especially physical security, most of them have that stupid, idiotic law enforcement, military background or military personality. I was in the military myself. I don't have that. I'm more of the Hank Moody, but they're going to come back at you, and they don't want egg on their face. They're going to put the blame on you if they find out you knew about that and don't report it. Always report stuff like that. Even on a regular pen test, it's going to be low. However, on a red team engagement, it will be a critical or high. because like I said, that literally did happen to us last year. So those are some of the key tips I would use, like the one I just said. And then also from the facility side of things, make sure that you work with your property managers to get those things secured. Make sure they follow your security standards, your SOPs. They're working with your cyber and physical security teams as well. And also, you have a business continuity plan in place, disaster recovery plan in place, and also make sure they are part of your tabletops, cyber ranges, and any kind of those exercises, because they are going to be key players, especially if they hold keys to elevators or any kind of sensitive areas where you don't have access to physical keys and the power's cut out and the batteries on your access controls die and the backups die and you don't have those keys. They need to be critical, because they also, if God forbid there is an emergency, you are going to need those keys to get people out, or they're going to be trapped in certain areas and or elevators, etc. So that's pretty much the video. Please let me know if you want more deeper dive on certain areas, tools or whatever, or even deeper dive on the red team from an adversary standpoint, and I'll create those going forward. I'm going to get back to doing some boxes next week. I was going to do one, but I've been asked to do the physical side, the physical pen test. A couple of people asked me at DEF CON, Black Hat, and then through LinkedIn as well. So that's the video, guys. Let me know if you like it. If you want more, I'll be happy to do more, or other things outside of physical pen tests as well. Just brief overviews or some deep dives. So that's the video.